Thanks for staying with us. So the Honorable Speaker, Honorable Gbajabiamila, was speaking concerning the Twitter ban and regulating social media. And he was saying very clearly that we must begin to discuss and see the need to regulate social media, because social media can be used for both good and evil. Let me try to quote him verbatim. He says, I'm glad that the issue of social media regulation has come to the fore. It is important that, like everything in life, there has to be regulation. We know that social media is perhaps the most potent instrument that can be used for good and also for the negative. While we welcome the good, we must not paper over the bad or the evil. And that's the position. So according to him, everybody has a right to be protected. We've been swamped with fake news, hate speech. And even recently, the attacker family has said, listen, all this different news coming out of our family member is getting overwhelming. And they've asked the Nigerians to please allow the police to investigate, because different bloggers, different news are coming on social media. So our leaders are saying, maybe this is the right time to regulate social media such that everybody's rights are protected. What are your thoughts on this? You can call us on 081-270-53687. You can also call us on 091-390-7694. You can send messages on Facebook and also on YouTube. We'll be happy to read your messages. So we've talked about this issue of regulating social media on different ways, but it's getting more and more, and I just finally getting to the reality that these platforms could or should be regulated, especially because globally many countries are facing the same issue where the online platforms are being used in both negative and positive ways. So how best do you think we can go about this? And do you think Nigerians are ready to accept the possibility of regulating social media in this country? Who would like to go first? Nima, go ahead.
Until you're affected, you disagree with regulation of social media. Until somebody picks up a fake story, carries your picture, puts your family out there, and makes a story that sells them for profit without you having any right to even immediately report. So we have some regulations already existing. We have our libel laws, we have our slander laws, we have defamation and all of that, criminal and both civil. But it is not enough. There has to be mediate. So we remember the January 1 episode where we did the woman who's 3 billion, and somebody took my picture, left the story, because the original writer of that story just quoted verbatim every of the hosts on your view and even acknowledged your view as the show of source in his write-up. So somebody now goes to his page, screen grabs this. This is an Instagram poster now, and posts my picture used by TVC to while the story was going. Puts that story there as if it was my story, makes money off it. So we go try to investigate. The person doesn't have an open office. Yeah. Although I got his office, but we had, in fact, I cannot explain how I had to get to the office because I did it, off the right way. Eventually, I also had to find a way to get that person's office. There's no name, no phone number, and that person made story that trended. It trended so bad that if it was my story, I wouldn't have a problem. At least I would just do rejoinders and all of that. But this is not my story. And it was a weekend, I would not have time for social media. Yeah. Every WhatsApp group had things to say about this, to the extent that my friends, family members were calling, Nima, when did this happen? How will you allow this happen?
I see that because it's happened to me several times
we
too.
So need an immediate, we need an immediate place to go. We need somebody with Instagram, for instance, don't just block the person and report the person's page. That person has to pay for such a trend.
Right.
And something comes to
you. I agree that they've abused the freedom to a large extent, where one human being can have 20 accounts, and human beings can have even up to 100 and make a story trend because they just want it to go viral. And they know that if 100 people tweet it or 100 people repost it, naturally it will just gather momentum like that. So we know that that should be checkmated. However, I have seen the policies that some countries have put in place to, sort of like structure social media and regulate it. And it is tantamount to you saying what we have with NBC, where some things we cannot say. That we know I want to say, but you cannot say it because it's on national television. Same thing with social media. Social media has provided a platform for people to finally express themselves. We're not in a military rule. So when India created, and Nigeria knows how to copy India, we've had several policies that people have said are verbatim laws from India. So now, the India policy, for example, puts in a clause that Twitter has within 36 hours to take down any post the government deems not fit. So now, it is left to the interpretation of the government to say this information is not good, this information is right. It's no longer something that there's a law, there's a justice system to process. So a criticism, a tweet can be a criticism of the fact. This road is bad. The government has awarded it several times and it hasn't been done. Fact, the government will say, no, this is not true. Take it down. And they will take it down. So how does my right to express my fact? Nima comes here stating for a fact what is going on our road. Somebody can say what she tweeted about what's going on our road is inciting violence against the government. Take it down. So my worry is that we've had cases of abuse of power. I didn't grow up inside a military role per se. I didn't understand military when I was growing up. But my parents, people that have experienced military, understood what it meant not to be able to say your mind. And my worry is that we are going to end up in that same space where our only platform for expressing ourselves has been gagged. We can't express ourselves anymore.
Okay, let me come to you.
Yeah, so for me, I do not think it's gagging per se. And if you listen to the tone of the Honorable Speaker, he's asking that it should be regulated. So this is not exactly that, total ban, like what we have now with the suspension. We're talking about social media going forward. And for me, I hope that it comes in this way, that we can have a physical offline place where you can get redress, where you can report where prosecution can happen. Because it's all fine to be anonymous online and say all the, evil things that you can say and paint people black and sometimes cause people's deaths because people have committed suicide because you have put up a fake story about them and they're so ashamed to show their face in public, they take their own lives. There has to be a place where people like that and their families can go and get some form of redress. So it's important that we understand our freedom to speech, but we also need to understand the responsibility that it comes with that freedom. We cannot, okay, just look at this particular story of this Ataga lady. So there's a picture of the perpetrator that has been going around, and this South African model has come out to say, please, this is not this girl, this is me, stop tagging me. I read Nigerians saying, I don't care what she says. I have already accepted that this is that person, and that's all I'm going to go with. So these are the sort of people that we are talking about, that for them is not about your truth, it's not about your well-being, it's not about your state of mind. It's for them about what pleases them as of right now. And it does not matter how you feel or what the consequences or the impact is on your life. So there has to be a court, a system where people can get justice.
I'll come back to you, Nima, because I want us to put this in proper perspective. I know something that Nima has always said here is that, do we want a democracy or not? Because there have been cases where social media have been done for alleged good. For example, let's take the Gbajabiamila story. So a girl was allegedly defiled by this adult, and because of social media, we're able to get the case. So that's a good thing. But the other part of it that, okay, people still use the same social media to demonize this person who we all know is at least allegedly guilty of this crime. But people are saying, why don't you let the courts determine that, okay, this man is guilty? Yes, we saw, yes, there's a need to push him out there to say, yes, this is the perpetrator, arrest him, do this. Yes, but do we want a democracy or do we want a banana republic? Do we want something that goes through the justice system or we don't? That's the decision I just must make.
So let me explain what social media, the extent they should stop. So a girl had been allegedly defiled by this person 7 years ago, and the setup was done, and he put it out there, make it popular and keep it alive. So justice is found, is served, not create conspiracy or further destroy. Because we saw a lot of people jump on the story and sort of took ownership of it, and the matter is in court. What we simply need to do is, so far in court, it's still in court, it's not been killed. Babadesh has not been released without trial. Prosecution is ongoing. That's what social media, that's the extent to what social media can do. The social media cannot become a court that can find Babadesh guilty at any point. It still has to be a court. But you see people already finding guilty. In fact,
they're going to kill him when he comes outside, stuff like that. Yeah.
So such speech. Then there's also a part of social media that I find annoying. I can't even believe it. Why do you have a social media page and you don't have a personality you can attach to it?
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's the extent we need the regulations. So if you have a social media page like the Mr. Only in Nigeria person, put your name,
Yeah.
your father's family name on it.
Why?
Yes.
So we can trust
Why?
you because
Why? If you call out my family and say that I killed my child and had 3 million naira in my account, I want to be able to find you, sue you, and get you arrested immediately. I don't want to go and dig through some unauthorized ways to find you.
Put out news, do put out your chest. Put your
Put it with your full chest. When I say something on the show, your full chest. If I say something on the show, somebody will say it's Nima who said it. That's why you're putting it on your page to trend. Put your name, your father's family name, your entire family compound on it. I want to find you.
Yeah. Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll take some calls on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still having this conversation on social media regulation. So we're going to say something before the break.
One of the things that I feel is very important is that the idea of social media is to provide a platform for people to express themselves. People. So I believe in the verification of people. I've seen some very irritating comments on my page, and I want to see who has the nerve to say this kind of thing. And of course, it's block, private, nobody, no posts, 0 posts. You know, so I understand that perspective that there are trolls and there are cyberbullying. So I feel we should deal with cyberbullying. We should deal with what's the word where somebody when you blatantly lie about a situation. Slander. We should deal with slander. If you post a comment that is false, you should be prosecuted. And I believe we have laws dealing with that part already. The area I have issues with is where a law is saying that the government's representative can report to this social media handle and say, what this person said is wrong. And it's not like an algorithm that is co-developed by both parties. Like Nigeria co-developed an algorithm with whatever social media handle and say that any comments like this should be taken down. We will end up having China in our hands. And that is that is many democracies that what we are saying are doing this. They are also modeling China, where you cannot say anything, no dissent, no disagreement, no criticism.
Let me come to this point where our democracy is still quite fragile. It's not as strong as the Western democracies. So do you think, just talking, having a conversation, do you think where we are still trying to get people to believe in the ideology of this nation called Nigeria? We're still very fragile in our thinking and ideologies. Do you think the ability to give that freedom of expression will strengthen or weaken our democracy? Because there's a point in other countries where people didn't have that freedom of expression. It took many years to get to that point where we begin to believe in the American dream, believe in this ideology called the United Kingdom. But where we are as a nation, we're so divided. There are diverse views. Now, our nationality is so fragile so that we don't even understand how we are as a nation, as a people. So my point is that, do you think it is time for us to allow this freedom of speech such that there is little regulation at this point?
If we don't express ourselves, we will plaster the issues, and the issues will not be dealt with. If we express ourselves, a government that wants to solve the problem will call us and deal with the problem. What I have issues with is the abuse of what is going on, but that expression will be stifled if we allow a law to go into power.
Okay. So for me as well, I think that it is not about stopping people from expressing themselves. The government needs to also hear what the people are saying to understand how to help the people, in what ways that they can solve the issues. So it's important that people are allowed to express themselves. What we need to do is build an institution that is able to regulate without that's independent of government or parties or the administration in power. You do not want it to be determined by a particular political party or political appointee today and then uses it as a tool to witch hunt political opponents. That's not what we're asking for. Have an independent institution that people can go, even government, where it feels that someone has written a fake news concerning a particular government policy or an appointee, can go there to and get redress. Yes. That's what is important.
In fact, first of all,
wouldn't we like this to be part of what is being, the conversation we're having now with Twitter and Facebook should include this issue of how we can actually identify these trolls, know who they are, so and get a physical building where you can report these things
You can have a private page, but the moment there's an issue of abuse on that page,
the
platform should be able to fish you out for the person reporting, so that a court case can happen easily. You don't want to be at some point frustrated. How can this person get away with this? Look at the possibility of the person getting away.
Johnson, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm there.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to you.
Morning.
Yeah. I just want to say something. I don't know if any one of you follow what happened in the US very well. Have you ever seen it in CNN before when they write somebody that went to kill a pregnant woman in her house? Have you ever seen it before in CNN? Have you ever seen it in BBC that somebody went to strike someone down inside his car without not doing anything? But it's through social media that we get to know all these things. A policeman shot someone in Ukraine. The guy did not do anything. No news up to today that picked that issue. But it's through social media. Even the politicians here in Nigeria, if we have not known some things about them, if not because of social media. So let's sit down and get to know the reason why and the purpose of these governments are shutting all these things down. They don't want people to talk, to express themselves. Something happened in South Africa. A white man killed a lady. I think maybe their girlfriend or whatsoever. No TV station that picked that news, but was the neighbor that was videoing that thing from the window, and he uploaded it to social media, to Instagram. That's how everybody gets to know. There are so many cases in court. Over 10 years ago, I have a friend that's been in prison because they said he stole a phone, and they didn't even find out up to today, like 7 years ago. He's still in prison. It's through social media we are trying to express ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I mean, Justin has just made a fantastic position, because the truth is that there have been lots of injustices have happened that without social media would have not gotten justice.
No. So I agree with him. I do not disagree about the ability of social media to be an alternative means of news that helps people. What I'm saying is, what the Honorable Speaker is saying is regulate. Yeah. Meaning is that if I am putting out a story that somebody has just been raped, I have the story. If I am called to be a witness in court, I will not back down and say, I will stand by that story. I am a willing witness. I will not at any point in time, that because I have that story and I have the facts. But in Nigeria, you see people put out story and they will say allegedly. In fact, they will say as reported from, and they eventually do not have the story, but you have put up a nice conspiracy on somebody. Look at this Ataga's case, for instance. Some bloggers, social media platform again, wrote a nicely well-put story that can sell conspiracy that tied the mourning widow to this mother. And this person will not want to be known. You put your name there. So put your father's name on it.
You know that, Nima, what you're saying is valid. We should, Google has a Google business. If you're a business, you need to verify your business address. You need to verify your business name. Facebook has for business as well. I've submitted my CAC document on Facebook to be verified as a business on Facebook. So they do it for businesses, but they don't do it for individuals, because who would fund the infrastructure of verifying everybody there? In developed countries, a different thing. You easily can say you have your social security number, and they ask you, put in your social security number to verify who you are. But we don't have that infrastructure, and we can't put the burden of verification of our lack of infrastructure on a different business. So right now, it will be a case of Facebook and Twitter, and they should verify each person. Why? It's not because for Google, it costs them. They know that I want to spend money, so they verify me. They pay to send it to my postal address. Sometimes when I'm reporting the situation, they'll say it is your own country's postal issues that is causing it. But so also, we have many infrastructural challenges that are causing bottlenecks. Of course, we can say we don't want anybody to be private, or we don't want anybody to, we don't want false accounts anymore. We don't want multiple accounts anymore. But the policy needs to be well thought of, not by our current crop of leaders who don't really understand social media. Look at our National Assembly. They don't know it. It's not an insult. They don't know it.
To what Johnson was saying also, which is we need to find out the reason. So he's talking about it like there's an agenda about this regulating. And I know that in Nigeria especially, there's just this common distrust for government. And so I think this conversation of government regulating social media cannot be had with only government and government officials alone. You need to have other stakeholders, people, youth representatives, civil societies, we need to come up with a white paper for how it should be regulated. That's the only way we would know that it's all inclusive and it has no agenda.
Let me take this call from Doe. Doe's been holding on. Are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Please, I want to talk. I'm a first caller.
Welcome to the show.
For the past a year now. So I want to talk on the issue of. I want to talk on the issue of the social media stuff. Like now. Hello, can you hear me?
Very clearly. Please go ahead.
Okay. Now, Morayo said some people are using social media against other people. Please, I want to ask this question. Are the government not using social media? Are the people on government not using government against us, the citizens? Let's just be sincere with each other. Okay, now we are just talking about how to regulate. How do you want to regulate this thing? Social media is good and is bad. You understand? Now, how do you want to regulate it that a poor man will be able to move along with it? Because most in Nigeria, we express ourselves through social media. Not everyone, like the Elijah said, not everyone can come out to express themselves. But through social media, most people can express themselves. Let's check out the issue of rape. How many people want to go to police station and go and report to police that they rape? But through social media, they can express themselves. From there, you call them to table. You talk to them one-on-one. You have some conversation with them for them to get the right.
Joe, let me paint this scenario, Joe. Imagine you're working somewhere, right? And you're falsely accused of stealing 1 million naira. And then your employer or somebody whose family members your employer, maybe his niece or something, creates a fake account, puts your picture there, and says, this man stole 1 million naira from the XYZ, and puts it out there, and it goes viral. And they're not looking for you all over the place. What we are saying, we agree that the social media should allow you to express. We also say that you should protect people like you from people who, people like that who will try to use you and paint you negatively in society, where you may be able to get any other job.
Yes.
That's what we're saying. What do you? I'd like to hear a response.
Thank you. I make measure of something that social media is all about good and bad. You understand? Let me tell you, I'm a strong person that I must believe in. There should be a solution. I'm a strong person in that way. But why do you want to regulate social media? You yourself that want to regulate social media, the people don't have trust on you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'll let it go there because Mariam already mentioned it. Like the federal government will always be looked on like they are trying to impose this on them.
Yes.
That what she would advise is that we should bring in other groups, stakeholders. So someone like a Joe can believe. You have the civil society, you have the ministers, you have the imams. Everybody saying the same thing, that we must do something to the social media.
People who understand it and know it. So it's a different thing. My dad cannot understand what social media is. Yes, he is on Facebook, but really, to a large extent, he's just using it. He does not understand how it can best be regulated, what kind of algorithms can be written, how you can code in something for your region that would ensure that these kind of comments are flagged down on your region. So we need people that understand the science of what happens in social media to be able to advise those putting this together.
So Tunde says the problem here is simple. It's abuse. Give a Nigerian anything, and abuse is inevitable. Twitter or no Twitter, some people are still naive and will abuse whatsoever, just like the Nigerian actress fooling her in the name of recognition. Marcus Michael says, social media ain't a free speech community that cannot be held accountable if its platform is used mischievously. If the American state can hold one of their own accountable, what are we fusing about? One cannot love a child more than his mother. People should be tracked and held responsible for whatever they put on social media. Bukola Oguntime says social media should be regulated. Too many half-truths flying around. You know?
All right, so we have to run.
Maria says, how has the independent INEC done so far? Margaret says, we like what developed countries do, but we fail to put structures in place to make it work like where we are copying. It's always, we always wait until things scatter, then we want to correct it in haste. That should not be the case.
This one is serious. Oyemu Maria Azomta says, do you also consider the insecurity attached to full representation of one's biodata out there.
Okay, we have to go on this one, but you see, I have an article here. It says that Texas Supreme Court rules Facebook can be held liable for sex trafficking. So Texas highest court has ruled that the Facebook can actually be held liable for these issues
abuse
of sexual trafficking. And we're forgetting that this social media is also being used for illicit drugs within Nigeria.
Yes.
These are other parts of it that we're discussed about. So when we say regulation, we mean
not
that
talking stop free speech.
It's not just about libel and slander. It's about there are so many other industries
Let me quickly
using this
explain one
platform.
of the
So when we come back, we'll talk about it more.
Okay, please.
Stay with us, we'll be right back.